girls. Got some music playing just while we wait and see if other people come on. So you can have a little dance if you want to have a dance. Tried to find some remix stuff so that, but not loving that. What else have we got? I don't think I've had enough wine for this. Oh, that's nice. Jane's in. Hi Jane. You got your wine, doll? Just playing a little bit of music and waiting for a couple of people to jump on. Ramana's there. Hi. Welcome along, ladies. I might do this one standing up tonight. I think not sitting on my... Oh, Deb's in. Hi, Deb. I thought you'd be curled up in your jammies. I was just looking at M's in. Hi, M. All right. Jane's got her wine. Good girl, Jane. Okay, let's stop the music so I don't have to yell anymore. So I'm looking at myself in this light, and I'm sure that I didn't look as pink as this before. Deb says she's rooted. Yeah, I thought you might be today, Deb. And Romana's in her PJs, in bed. Love it. Love it. We're having a pajama party. Do you know what? I was actually in my pajamas before, well, my pajama bottoms, and then I thought, oh, I fancied this particular wine tonight. So I got dressed and I went out and I bought the wine and I came back and I haven't got my pajamas on now, but I actually fully intended to do this session in my pajamas. We might have a pajama party one night. Will we do that? Hands up, give me hearts or thumbs if you want to have a pajama party. So I'm just critiquing my hair, and I think Deb did my eyebrows for me today, so they're quite dark. They're always quite dark on day one, and my hair is quite pink, so I'm thinking that needs to settle down a bit. I want it to be sort of this colour on the ends here. I'll give it a day or two and see what happens, huh? So someone's in for a pajama party when we have that. Okay. Oh, Deb doesn't wear pajamas. Too much information, Deb. Well, you could be naked, like we wouldn't know, right? You'd tell us, I'm sure. I'm sure, knowing you would tell us. Oh, Romana says it looks great. Thanks, darling. I wasn't fishing for compliments. I was just kind of filling in time and having a bit of a sook. It actually looks quite nice when I'm not in this light. So I think let's call it this light. We're just having a giggle because Deb doesn't want to do a pajama party, or maybe she does, but she just said that she doesn't wear pajamas, so she would come along naked, and we would all know about it, which is kind of fun. I would not be, however, I would be in my pajamas because I'm not having those kinds of videos out on the interweb, am I? So, what was I here to talk about tonight? Does anyone remember? Oh, Deb says it looks all right. Thanks, darling. I really wasn't fishing for compliments, but I wanted to talk to you about something that I've noticed this time of the year, and I'm seeing it with my clients, I'm seeing it with my friends, and I'm seeing it with people like Deb, that they're starting to get a bit puffed out. They're starting to get a little bit run down. Emily's in the middle of making sourdough bread. Oh, you're so domestic, Em. So I'll be running back to Need again soon. Good. Maybe you can post us a photo of your bread when it cooks. That'd be nice. You can share that. You can be our Martha Stewart of the night. So I'm noticing that people are getting a bit puffed out. There's, so much going on. Businesses are ramping up until the end of the year before they stop for a period often. And there's all the social stuff, there's the shopping stuff, there's the crazy kids stuff. I know my son's energy is like up here constantly at the moment, which is draining me more than he probably usually does. And it all takes a toll, right? You've still got loads of work to do, and I know that a lot of you are doing extra work at this time of the year to get ready for the end of year break or whatever. So I wanted to talk to you about the things that I do to keep going, because I do ask a lot of myself and I do ask a lot of my body, and I do put in a lot of hours. But that's just the way that I work. That's just the way that it is for me. And I managed to keep going doing a few tricks. And the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about, because it has been, a couple of people have asked me about what I do with my morning practice, and because I'm always talking to my clients and to you guys about journaling and doing the mindset work, doing all of that stuff to promote creativity and to adopt a positive mindset, and you know, to set intentions on what you want to achieve and things. And so some people were asking me what I actually did, what the actual steps were that I did each day to make sure that all that work was covered off. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that as well. And I've made some notes, and as I'm talking I keep thinking of things that I've forgotten, so there may be some gaps in it, but you know, we can revisit that at another time and fill in the gaps if we need to. So I do want to sit down now. I wanted to stand up before, now I want to sit down. So I'm going to move that. You ready for the table creak? Okay. There it is. It hasn't broken tonight, except it feels like that's so far away. Hang on. Is that better? Okay. So each morning, most mornings, and you know, this is, I try and do this stuff every day. When I talk to you about the way I eat and the things that I do, it's going to be I do this most of the time thing. But everyone falls off the wagon, you know, and everyone doesn't do their daily practice every single day sometimes. And sometimes you just feel like having a little break, kicking my thongs off here, having a little break or having a bit of a sleep in or whatever. And that's absolutely okay. And I really believe in listening to your body. And if as a rule, I get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock, depending on how cuddly the kid is beside me, you know. But some days I just actually can't, and it's not, you know, you have to check in with yourself when you're resisting getting out of bed. If you set an intention to, oh, Ange is in the house. Hi, Ange. I drove past your place today, but you were all shut up. I was going to pop in and say hi. Sometimes you have to check in with yourself. Are you just being lazy, or does your body need more rest? You know, and so I always ask myself that before I decide to press the snooze button and roll over again, because if I'm just being lazy, well, that's not okay. You know, that's not good enough. And I know that if I start that down that little road of just allowing myself an extra hour or two sleep each day, then that becomes a new habit. And when that becomes a new habit, the work doesn't get done. And the stuff that I want to achieve each morning gets put off until the night, and then something happens and I don't get it done. And then the next day something happens and I don't get it done. And because for the last 2 days I've allowed myself an extra hour or two to sleep in, then the third day I allow myself, and then suddenly that's the new habit. And suddenly my new habit is getting up at 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and I'm struggling to find the time to do the work that I would normally do early in the morning. Now, the reason that I get up at that time of the day is, and this is a proven thing with a lot of really, really successful people, will get up at 4 to 5 in the morning, because that time of the day is super quiet and it's the best energy in the day for creating, because you don't have a lot of people around you who are putting out their energy as well, because everyone else is asleep, right? So generally it's just me and the sun coming up, my coffee in front of me, and it's just a really nice space to kind of do some work and do some creative thinking and do some writing and get all this stuff out. So that's why I get up at that time of the morning. And also, Emily's wondering what time she missed that. Were you kneading your bread? So I try and get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock. Sometimes in the summer it'll be a bit early, 5 o'clock. And Megan's saying 5 ... That's early. It is early, but I do it for a reason. And once you form a new habit, it kind of becomes easy. And look, you know, don't get me wrong, there's many days that I do not want to get out of bed. But as I said, I just ask myself, am I being lazy, or does my body actually need extra rest? And if it needs extra rest and I'm heading towards getting sick, then I will take the extra rest, because there's no way that I want to get sick. And generally I don't get sick because I listen to my body. And if it says get some sleep and you're not being lazy, then I do that. But you know, it's very easy to give in to that pressing the snooze button thing again, you know. And don't get me wrong, I do not bounce out of bed. I am not a morning person. My dad used to have this thing that he wouldn't speak to me in the mornings until I'd had 3 coffees, and he would ask me, what number are you up to, before he actually spoke to me, because I'm so not a morning person. But if I can get up and potter around by myself, then, you know, it's good, and I can get some work done. So this is what I do. Usually, while my eyes are opening, I'll be making a coffee, and then I will try to read something inspirational. So it might just be a blog post of somebody that I follow. It might be a chapter of a book that I'm reading. Sometimes it might even be a TED talk, you know, on YouTube. I might search up one of those. That tends to be what happens when I'm having a particularly lazy kind of morning, and I don't want to actually, my eyes are having trouble focusing or whatever. So then I'll get out YouTube on my iPad and watch something and just listen to the message as it comes over there. There's a lot of iPods, podcasts that I listen to as well. So I might even plug into one of those just first thing. The next thing I do is my journaling. So I always start off with what I call the brain dump, and it comes from, you might have heard me talk about the Artist's Way, which was a program that was developed for artists as a way of cultivating a creative mindset. So when artists and writers and things get blocked, then this is the one of the best programs for them to work through to get that creativity going again. And one of the exercises that they are told to do, it's a 12 module course. And one of them is called the 3 pages. And essentially it's just automatic writing. It's just a brain dump of all the stuff that's in your head. And if you've worked with me one-on-one, then you're about to hear something really familiar, because it's like a little mantra that I give people. And the stuff that I just dump out of my head can be the most ridiculous stuff, and it never makes sense. And it's just those random busy thoughts that keep popping into your head. So they just all go out on the paper, or on, I usually type it on a Word document. I think my journal's up to about 96,000 words now. So if I'll make it to 100,000 by the end of the year, easy peasy. Yeah, I will. So that'll be nice. That's some good work there, right? So it will be things like, do I have fresh bread for Eliza's lunch tomorrow? Oh my God, I forgot to put petrol in the car again. I must pay that electricity bill. I need to call Mum. That argument that I had with my ex-husband the other night is still really pissing me off. I wish he wouldn't do this. I wish he would do that. All the things that I've got to do today that are, you know, if they're running around in my mind, issues that I might have with someone, things that I'm really happy about, just stuff, just the busy thoughts that come one after another. And as they come into your head, you get them out onto paper. And what that does is it has the effect of clearing your mind and creating a space in your head that you can be creative with. And so when you've done that and you move on to the journaling work, the journaling stuff that is setting intentions and, you know, writing your reality, and the creative stuff, the working through issues and blocks stuff, then your mind is in a better place to start that work. And I find that the creative stuff when it comes to doing my content at that time of the day as well just comes heaps more easily if I've done that brain dump exercise first. Because usually when you hit the ground in the morning, your brain starts about, you know, all the busyness of the day. And if you're a mum and you're working and, you know, you've got relationships and all of that stuff, it all goes around in your head a million miles an hour, right? So, so that's what I do. So firstly, something inspirational. Secondly is the journaling with the brain dump exercise first, and then the work journaling, so the creative stuff and the intention setting and that sort of stuff. So then the next thing I do, and I have to say I have been a little bit slack with this because there's been a lot of mornings lately that I have been pushing too far and I haven't been able to get up so early. And on those days, I don't get to do my blog writing. But as a rule, I try to write a piece every day, a blog piece every day. It'll go up on my page, or it'll go up on my website, or it'll go up in some Facebook groups. So that will usually be, and I don't set any intention about how many words I'm going to write. It just comes out. And it's usually some sort of topic that's relevant to what's going on for me or what's going on for my clients. Sometimes my clients recognize themselves in my blog writing, and that's okay, because usually if something's happening for them, it's relevant to other people as well, and other people need to hear it too. So sometimes the topic of my blog might be directly inspired by whatever I was reading or listening to that morning for inspiration. So the next thing that I do in the morning is get into all my Facebook groups and engage in those. So my Powerhouse Collective and my other groups that I engage with as well. So I'll get in there and I'll post something, or I'll, you know, interact with the girls in there. Just sort of building relationships and getting my name out there and letting people know what I do and what I'm on about. And that's kind of it for the morning. So all of that would take about an hour and a half, usually, depending on how long I rave on in my blog and how long I rave on in my journaling. So an hour and a half, and I've done most of my content creation for the day. I've done all of my mindset work for the day, and I've taken on board something inspirational, which I think is really important to keep those creative juices going, you know. So the other thing that I do each day that I think is really important too, and it doesn't always happen in the morning for me because usually by then it's time to get the kids sorted and start doing the mummy morning screaming session that I do. Get your clothes on, eat your breakfast, that stuff. So usually later in the day, I'll do my income tracking and also track my income against my goals too. So I set really clear goals each month about what I want to achieve and also where that money is going to go. So I have a home for it each month and keep a record of, you know, ticking off what I've achieved each month. So in terms of actual real, you know, purchases and savings and all the rest of it. So, and then there's the other stuff. Then there's the, you know, product building, and then there's the client calls, and then there's the strategy calls, and all of the other stuff that I do comes after all of that. But until I've done my morning stuff, I don't like to do any of the other stuff. So I won't do, for example, I won't check my emails till my journaling's done. I won't scroll through Facebook until my journaling's done. Everything comes after that because I think it's so important to get here right for the day before you do anything else. And really you come from a much stronger position when you've done your mindset work first thing in the day, and pretty much anything that comes after that, you're in a stronger place to deal with it, you know. Excuse me, water. So, given that most days, excuse me, I'm just going to move. Do you want to see this? It's so pretty. This is my centerpiece. Isn't it gorgeous? My sister made me that. She's very clever. it's about where I need my bum to be right now, because I'm going to sit up on the table here and hopefully it doesn't fall off. I don't fall off. Okay, so the other thing I want to talk to you about was keeping on going, and I know that people around us are starting to get a bit sick. Jane says it's pretty. It is gorgeous, isn't it? I should show you the one that's on my front door too, because she did that one. It's gorgeous. So I know people are starting to get sick. Nell, actually from the Powerhouse Collective, messaged into the group before and said that she, hi Angelica, excuse me, said that she couldn't join us because she's at the doctor's, because the late nights that she's been putting into her business have caught up with her. So maybe I should have done this a week ago for her, and it might have saved her a trip to the doctor's. Because even though I generally start work at 5:30 every day, I don't get sick. And even though I can sometimes finish off my last client at 10 or 11 at night, and not actually stop working until midnight, I still don't tend to get sick. I can't tell you the last time I sort of had a really good dose of the flu or a really good cold or anything like that. And I think it's just that I've been doing this for so long, and I've always been someone that's pushed the boundaries and burnt the candle at both ends and done heaps and heaps of stuff. And generally I'm okay with 4.5, 5 hours sleep. Lately I've been pushing up to 6 hours sleep. And that's just because I listen really carefully to my body, and if it needs it, then I have it, you know. But again, I listen and I hear if I'm being lazy, or I hear if I actually need the extra sleep, you know. So there's a few tricks that I've learned along the way to keep going. So I'm not seeing any of my nutrition-y powerhouse girls in the group tonight, so hopefully I'm not going to get into trouble. But if any of them are listening back to this or watching this back, please maybe just cover your ears up now, because some of this is not probably in line with what you teach, and I would be likely to get a smack on the bum if you were in the room with me about to hear what I'm going to say. But look, it works. So as a rule, so I get by on about 4.5, 5 hours sleep, except one night a week. And this is absolutely my rule. And Elias holds me to it. He holds me accountable. And we have a thing that we call Wednesday night treat night in our house. So some of you will have heard me talk about Wednesday night treat night. That's the night that he always comes back to mum. He spends Monday and Tuesday nights with his dad, and Wednesday night he comes back to mum. So we need to do a little bit of a reconnect, you know, and moving from house to house. I don't know if you have experience of a separated family, but there's some adjustment when the child comes back to the other house. There's slightly different rules and slightly different way of things are done. So we have a little bit of an adjustment period of a few hours, and that's been always the way since he's been little. And so it's really, really important for us to only focus on reconnecting with each other. So Wednesdays I don't work after I get him from school. That's my rule. Wednesdays I don't book in any social events. Wednesdays, everybody knows that my house is out of bounds. It's off limits for pop-ins and visits and coffees and wines. All of my friends know that Wednesday night treat night, don't even bother, because that's our night. And the other thing that happens, Emily's got hubby kneading the bread. Good job, Em. He's going to take the whole credit for the whole bread now, though. You know that, don't you? Maybe he deserves it if he's doing all the work, huh? So the other thing that happens on a Wednesday night is that I don't spend hours in the kitchen cooking. We do takeaway in the lounge room. And the last thing, and this is the most important thing for me and my routine, is that I go to bed when Elias goes to bed. So he comes and sleeps in my bed, and so I'll be in bed like 8:30 that night, and I'll sleep all the way through. until 5:30 and jump out of bed then. So that one night a week, I know that I'm going to do some catching up. And it kind of is good for my mindset as well, because if on a Monday and Tuesday night I'm really struggling to stay up and do the work that I need to do, if I'm starting to flag and I'm starting to feel a bit tired, well, I just tell myself that it's okay, keep going, because tomorrow night you get an early night, you know. So Wednesday night, always in bed at 8:30, and like straight out cold. I'll be so tired Wednesday nights, but then that gives me enough to keep going for the rest of the week. With my food, I think it's really, really important. For me, this is what I found, that whatever I put into my body gives me the fuel or not to do all of the stuff that I need to get done. Now, if I'm eating a lot of processed food, if I'm eating a lot of sugar, if I'm eating a lot of wheat, then I can't do this stuff. My body just goes, nah, we're not doing it. And I start to need more sleep, and I start to get more colds, and start to put on weight, and so then I feel lazier. I don't have the same amount of energy when I'm carrying a little bit more weight than what I am. And actually, it's been funny because the last month or so I really have kind of fallen off the wagon in this. I've started to eat bread again, and I've started to eat more sugar because my energy is kind of doing this in the day a little bit more, as a result of not ticking all of these boxes. And this is what, you know, this is what happens. I'm no angel, and I don't stick to this 365 days of the year, but this is what I aim for. And this is what I always come back to, you know. So at the moment I'm not training at the gym, which is also really important for me. I find that if I am exercising, then again, it increases my energy, and it makes me look for the clean food, you know. If I'm doing a 2-hour session at the gym during the day, I'm probably not going to come home and eat, you know, pasta with some creamy sauce. That's not going to be what I feel like, because I've just done all this work, you know. So yeah, lots of fruit and veggies, no wheat as a rule, and I don't even know the reason for that, but I know that it works. It makes me feel lighter and gives me more energy if I don't have wheat in my diet. I mean, that's not, I don't die if I eat it, I just prefer not to. When I am eating really, really well, I'll eat 6 meals a day, 6 little meals a day, which, you know, people say that sounds like a big commitment to do, but if you think about it, it's breakfast, morning tea, lunch, afternoon tea, dinner, and a snack at night. So that's all it is. It's just that my dinner and my lunch and my breakfast are probably smaller as a result of eating, you know, consistently during the day. And when I am being really good, and when I'm in my top form, and I have the most energy and I'm the healthiest, I'll also have, as a result, like this is what I get when I do this kind of eating, I'll have protein in those 6 meals each day. So I try and have protein 6 times a day. And as a result, that's when I have my most energy, because I'm constantly topping up my protein in my body. But that's a little bit trickier to do when you're busy. That's like meal prep stuff, you know, that's like spending a whole day cooking in the kitchen, so that you've got all your meals set out for the week. And it's been a while since I've had that kind of time. So, but it's a good kind of basis to follow. And I know, hey, Shaz is in the house. How you going, Shaz? Thanks for joining us. So I know that just through doing it, that the more protein I have, the more energy I have. So that's what I tend to try and do. Now, if my energy drops in the day, I know from experience that sugar is going to increase my energy straight away. But then a short time after that, I have the most horrendous crash, and I'm further back down the energy level scale than what I was when I had the sugar. So I try and avoid that. And to be honest, I get better energy and more production from, oh, Penny's here too. Hi, Penny. From an apple or a banana. That's it. That's just my snack food. Grab an apple, grab a banana. I have a lot of fruit every day, and I find that that holds me for longer, particularly bananas will. The other trick, have you heard the saying, and this sound, I feel so silly telling people this because I don't know if there's any science in this. Actually, Michelle, you might be the one to answer this. Why is it that I don't get sick if I stick by that old wives' tale that an apple a day keeps the doctor away? What's that about? Please, madam, go to Google, go to your nutritional books and tell me what that's about. Because you hear the saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. I always have an apple every day. And if for some reason, if I'm traveling or I forget to go to the fruit shop or whatever, and I don't have an apple for a number of days, and I'm pushing this busy schedule that I'm pushing, often they're the days that I'll start to feel a bit run down and a bit sick. So I would be interested to hear what that's about. So the thing is that sometimes when you are pushing things like this and you're burning candles at both ends and, you go from 5 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock at night every day, sometimes things creep up and bugs get you. You start to feel a bit fluey. Emily said, does it just keep you regular and flush out the toxins maybe? I think I heard that somewhere. Yeah, I'm not sure, Em. I don't know. But I do know that I love my apples, and they actually wake you up more than a coffee does. So next time you are having your 3 o'clock slump and you go to reach for a coffee, instead of that, have an apple and see if it wakes you up more than what the coffee would have. And I reckon it does. That's my theory anyway. Don't know why that is either, but I do love apples. I think they're like the superfood of the fruit world. But even though you can eat all the right things, you can try and get the best sleep that you can, and you can push yourself, often you start to get a little bit sick. You start to get a bit coldy. So this is my trick, and this is the one that the nutritional people are not going to like. The absolute minute that I start to feel a little bit congested, or I start to feel that tickle in my throat, that kind of, there's a bug lurking, I could be a little bit sick, I start to look a little bit funny around the eyes or something. And this is the thing. For me, it's all about really being in tune with your body and listening all the time to the messages that you're getting. So the very minute that I start to think, uh-oh, I could be getting a little bit sick here, there's something not feeling right, Barocca. Simple as that, Barocca. And I overdose on it. And the reason that my nutritional people are not going to like it is that it's, I think that some of the vitamins are kind of like that synthetic, created vitamins. And I know that Barocca has a shitload of sodium in it. So you need to make sure that you drink a lot of water as well to kind of flush all that out, because no one needs that much salt in their system. But it bloody works. So I will have 3 Baroccas a day if I need to, in that first day that I'm feeling a little bit off, and then perhaps the next day I'm feeling a little bit off. And if I'm still not feeling good after overdosing on vitamin C and vitamin B for 2 whole days like that, like having 3 or 4 Baroccas a day, if I haven't bounced back, and 9 times out of 10 I will, I'll be feeling perfect after that. If I haven't, then I stop everything, because I can't afford to get sick. So I stop staying up late, I stop getting up early, I overdose on loads and loads of veggies, and I do all of those things, and I just get a shitload of rest. And I spend heaps of time. It's the only time you'll find me watching episodes or movies, or spending a lot of time in my bed. So if that doesn't work, then I listen and I stop. and I just slow down and allow my body to heal. But generally, Barocca works along with one other little trick. When I've had some wine, I'll tell you. So my other trick, and I do this if Elias is a bit off as well, it's called thieves oil. And it's an old, it's ancient remedy, really ancient recipe. And I just mix it up myself. But there's a couple of doTERRA girls in the group. And doTERRA have a blend that's called On Guard. And I've compared their recipe to my recipe. It's very, very similar. So it's got eucalyptus oil and clove oil and lemon or orange oil, I think. And anyway, it's kind of got really antiseptic qualities. So what I do is apples and Baroccas and caramello koalas. Yes, got it, on the shopping list. Did I talk about caramello koalas, Jane? I think I said don't go for the sugar. But you know what, sometimes you do need it. And let me tell you, I'm sitting here with a little cup of jelly beans that I've been munching out on. Sometimes everyone needs sugar. But if you're going to sugar to increase your energy every afternoon, you need to stop, because that shit doesn't do any favours. Have it for a treat by all means, but don't ever use it to increase your energy, because there's much better ways, and you don't end up getting sustained energy from sugar. All you end up with is a spike and a crash, and it doesn't do anyone any favours. But yes, chocolate, everyday chocolate. You must have everyday chocolate. Thieves oil, I rub it on our feet when we're going to bed. So Elias uses it as an excuse to have a nice little foot massage. Sometimes he pretends to be sick just to get his little foot massage, which is fine. And it smells divine. I mean, the bedroom smells amazing. And I also put it in one of those kids vaporizers, you know, that you have for babies. And if we're feeling a little bit off, either of us, we basically sit on top of that for 2 days with this thieves oil going through it. And so I'll put it on the side of the bed. The kid sleeps in my bed, 10-year-old boy. That's what he does. Don't judge me, I don't care. So it goes on whichever side of the bed is the sickest out of the two of us, whichever one sounds the sniffliest or whatever. And then if I'm working in the day, it goes in the office. If we're sitting in front of the TV at night, it's there in the lounge room with us. And I basically move this vaporizer around wherever we are for 2 solid days. That, along with the Barocca, usually smashes any bug right out of the water. Gone. But the trick is to not wait for a whole day. The very minute, and I actually have Barocca in my car, I have Barocca in my office, I have Barocca with me pretty much all of the time. And if I don't, and I start to feel this, I will go and buy some, because it's so important to get on it really, really fast. That's my biggest tip. So, rest too. If you're feeling like that, you've got to listen to your body, and you don't get up at 5:30 in the morning, and you don't, work until 1 o'clock in the morning and expect to be able to sustain that and expect to still be healthy. So if your body is giving you the messages that it's time to slow down, then you've got to listen. But sometimes when you're go like that, and your energy is up here because you've got so much to get done, it can be hard to wind down. And I find that sometimes, that at the end of the day, when I finish working and it's midnight, then I can't stop. And I know I need to be asleep like in 10 minutes time, so that I get enough sleep to get up early in the morning and do it all again. And relaxing can be really hard. And I find, especially if I'm not training at the gym like I'm not now, I find that turning off business is quite difficult for me at the end of the day. So that's when I use my Smiling Minds app, and I do a little meditation after I finish working, and that kind of brings my energy back down. I can't always focus on it, but just the act of trying to do the meditation. When I'm right up here, it's really hard to kind of focus on meditating, and usually I'm pretty good at it. I've been doing it for a lot of years, but sometimes it's hard to bring that energy back down. But just the act of attempting it will kind of bring you back down enough that you can chill and get a good night's sleep. Emily says, think I have some new routines to put in place in the new year. I hope I can get Izzy to comply. Yeah, you know what? When you've got a baby, you've kind of just got to do what you can do. Does Isabel get up early though? A lot of babies get up quite early. It might be just a case of, instead of sitting in front of the TV with her with your coffee, that you do something to entertain her with toys or whatever, and get in front of your laptop. I don't know. I'm not sure. So that's kind of all that I have. That's all that I do. Emily says she's been coming into our room around 5-ish. Okay, so if she doesn't go back to sleep then I would be getting up then. If she does go back to sleep, then, you know, settle her, and then, well, I don't know, if it was me, I would settle her and then I would get up. But but she goes back to sleep. Yeah. Well, she could be your alarm clock. She'd be mine. Elias often wakes up when I get up, and then I'll just kind of wait until he goes back off to sleep, and then I'll get out of bed and go do my thing. Sometimes he likes to get up at 5:30 in the morning because it means he can do his gaming with people that are overseas in different time zones. So he quite enjoys that. So sometimes as a treat, I'll let him get up at 5:30 in the morning, but 10-year-olds don't really work with that kind of amount of sleep. Yeah, I think Emily's saying that's what I'm thinking. I can get her back to sleep and then get up. It's a good idea. And then, you know, while you've got that baby free time and Adam's still there, then you could get heaps of work done before he gets up. And even cook him breakfast, right? I wonder if Adam's watching this or if he's doing the bread. So that's it. So has anyone got any questions about my routine and how I keep going, and the fact that I overdose on Barocca to keep going and whatever? I'm loving it. Do you know what? I was waiting for Kerry Vernon to be in this thing tonight, but I know she's had some really sick kids this week and some mental stuff going on for her, so I'm not surprised that she hasn't come in. But when I was planning it, I was thinking, oh, Kerry's not going to like this one bit. She's not going to like this at all. Okay, my powerhouse chicks. So if there isn't any questions, and if I go offline and you think of something, then please put it in the group and I'll answer it for you. Any questions about, you know, my daily practice, or how I keep going on 5 hours sleep or 4 hours sleep a night, or whatever. I'm happy to answer anything, because it's hard sometimes to think of what you guys want to hear about this stuff, because it's just sort of habit for me. Angelica says, thanks, Min. You're welcome, darling. All right, I'm going to go wrap some presents, and I'm actually not going to keep working tonight because I am feeling a little bit like I need to have a night off. And I'll see you guys all in the powerhouse. Okay, have an awesome weekend, and I hope it's super productive and that you all get your hustle on. Okay, bye.